Well, here we are on the Comanche Zoom meeting for Thursday, June 11th, with Dwight Coombe talking about insurance. And starting at 7 o'clock, I'm recording. People are trying to sign in. And CJ is showing pictures of her beautiful airplane, just now out of annual. But CJ is also muted, so we can't see what she's saying.
Hi.
There you are.
Yep, sorry, restacking airplanes. I'm gonna put you back on my belt. I'm gonna kill the video for a moment.
Okay.
So we have an airplane again.
Yeah.
Paperwork's done, just wrapped.
Cool. So you're ready to take off tomorrow and head home?
Small changes made. Yeah, well, the airplane's getting a bath now.
Yeah, the ones out here getting a bath too, but it's from Mother Nature.
Yeah. No, this is the annual wash and wax. Just put down my headset. I was getting a demo of the Avidyne 440. And the Aspen Evolution twin. I was in total information overload.
Yeah. Sounds like a good setup.
It was honestly an overwhelming setup for me. I'm so old school.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go on mute for one moment.
Hello, Bernie.
Hi, Pete.
Hi. Hey, Dwight. And Bill Kniff. Bill, you're muted. If you want to talk, you're muted. In fact, everybody except Bernie and me are muted.
That's the way it's set up to start.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi, how you doing, Dwight?
Can anybody hear me?
I'm hearing you just
Good. All
fine.
right, just making sure you can hear me. All right. So you have those two slides, right? The PowerPoint.
Right?
Okay. And then we'll go through questions.
Yep.
So, and it got me on for what, 7:30?
Right. You want to skip the first couple of pages
Okay.
on that policy, or skip the details of who it's for?
No, I don't care. That's no problem. It's good. It'll be good if we get to that policy stuff. It'll be good for for me to explain the stuff on the first page there, what the coverage stuff mean and why there are so many things that say not covered.
Right. Perfect. Yep. That's what I figured. And at any point, if you want, we can jump to another
Okay.
page.
Right, but we're gonna start with a PowerPoint first, right?
Right. We'll start with, that'll be the main thing.
Yeah.
But,
So, okay.
let me show you. There it is.
Good. Perfect. Okay. And you can bring up the policy the same way?
Yep. Hang on a second. I can move it to the details right there.
Yeah, so that page there is what we'll need. We'll move it down to the lower section
Right there?
when we get to it. So right there, just that section there. Yeah, that section we'll scroll down to so people can see that,
Okay.
what this page looks like. If we get to that.
Yep.
So,
And
all right,
I'll
as
just
long
leave
as
it
we have
right
that
there.
ability, we're good. So,
I'll leave it right there. So when I flip to it, that's what'll show up.
well, right now we'll go. Okay, but right now you can flip to the PowerPoint. And that's where we're ready to flip to the PowerPoint first.
Right.
Cool. All right, you got a haircut since I saw you last. It's not fair.
Yeah. I finally opened up. Last Friday, I managed to get into the chair.
Okay,
I feel lightheaded.
good for you. Yeah, I say you seem like you might be a little lightheaded. Okay. Just kidding, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so we the only three on?
Oh, no.
We have 14 total. If you want to,
We're only a dozen already.
Okay.
14 already. 15 now.
Dwight, if you want, you hit the participants and you'll see the list of people.
Yeah, right now it's showing. Okay, there it is. It had I didn't have the command bar on the top for a second there.
Oh, mine down at the bottom.
Good to see everybody. Hopefully it's I'm sure the topic like insurance, we won't see the numbers.
Well,
Not everybody's favorite subject.
right.
Well, one
That's
thing,
all right.
I see the
Hopefully,
numbers right away, but then I need to figure out how we can track the number of people that have looked at it. Good evening. I'm Robert Klein. I'm the statistics guy. So
you're the real backbone of the operation. Yes, good.
well, no, I'm a part of it. I can tell you how many people joined in and how long they stayed. One of the things that you might consider is, even if we only get up to 50 people, don't be disappointed, because the last conference that we had, those 50 people stayed for the entire hour. So you had you know, giving a class and everybody was there, everybody was paying attention.
No, it's no problem. I'll speak to two. I don't care. I just want to do what I can to be helpful. No big deal. So
Yep.
it's all good. What you guys are doing, what you're organizing is very helpful. It's very, very good stuff.
Well,
I've enjoyed the
you could do is
sessions
get
I've
our
been able
rates
to be
lowered
on.
by 20%.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. Yeah, I don't make those decisions, of course, but I try to do what I can to be a positive influence. And we'll talk about that.
Good.
So, all right, well, you guys carry on and whatever you normally do for the first part, and I'll sit back and relax here.
And I think CJ is going to come back with a little news, you know, a few, you know, hot items that she's been dealing with. And I mean, right now she's out waxing her plane after its annual.
She flew it for the first
Well, that's the
time.
most important part.
Bernie said she flew it for the first time today.
This afternoon.
Oh, great, great. Did they put the gear? Is it the one tire in the front and the two, or did they take the front one and move it in the back?
I have no idea what they actually did and did not do. She'll have to tell you.
Well, having owner-assisted annuals, I feel are always good things where you learn more about your airplane. On some of the things that you learned, you really didn't want to learn, but it's better to know than know.
She was doing this since May 28th when she arrived at Seymour, and today she did a flight from Seymour and back to Seymour. I've been
And
tracking
now
her.
ADSB compliant.
Oh yes.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, we were just taking your.
You're there. You're hiding, Christina.
Well, I was moving airplanes real quick. So
Your name is iPhone.
I'll fix that.
Oh, well,
I'll fix it.
actually, I'm going to come in from the iPad now because I think that's going to give us a better connection and signal. I am not sure this went on to Delphi, and that may hurt us. So let me just.
Well, Pat Donovan is online and so is Pat Kiefer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Does either Pat know if this went on to Delphi?
Well, I'm not sure that they're actually physically there right now. They're both muted.
Okay. Gotcha.
Pat Kiefer said she has some
I'll try
stuff to do.
texting. Mm-hmm. Okay, stand by.
Haven't said hello to Bill Caniff, but he's been sitting there quietly. Bill, I bet you can hear me, but you're muted right now.
Alrighty, I'm gonna get my old lady glasses and get on from the iPad. I'll be right back.
I think I can hear you now, Bert.
That sounds like Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Yeah, good evening, Bill.
I've had another day of adventure with my 9.3 pop.
Something new?
I had another day of adventure, leave it at that. We'll know tomorrow.
Hopefully it's good.
Something, it's not major, but it's a nuisance to try to get around it. And right now, the nose wheel is very difficult to turn it to the right or to the left. So So tomorrow we'll have another day. But I think I better go back and mute myself. Thank you, Bernie. Say hi to Dottie.
I will.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Howdy.
And all of you that are sitting there quietly with your mutes on, you're welcome to unmute and talk. This is the social time.
I know it's a pretty quiet group tonight. I think it's the crazy stuff that's going on in the country.
No, it's a topic tonight. It's got everybody pretty stifled. You know, insurance does it every time.
Well, one of the things that's in the future as time presents itself will be things we can talk about, you know, what's happening in the future and with us. And I learned about a Comanche 180 that'll be coming up for sale in the next 2 weeks. Don't have any details yet, but the whole idea of connecting with pilots and finding out where pilots are within 50 or 75 miles is very helpful, and actually something that CJ mentioned to me bears direct relation to tonight's discussion, because she had mentioned that some insurance policies will have a clause in there that say if you move your airplane out of hurricane's way, the insurance company will actually pay for some gas. And I thought that she must have had some really fine vodka or some other libation. So I actually called my insurance company and they said, oh yeah, go look at paragraph 14-1. And the one I have is 70, if you move your airplane more than 75 nautical miles away from home base, and it's not in a hurricane designated area, they'll help pay for gas. But they were really sticky about 75 nautical, not 74, not 70, 75. So part of just getting to learn other Comanche drivers, in my case, more than 75 miles away, is something I'm really interested in. So, and that'll come up as further discussions happen, but it's, you know, this time is wide ranging. The $75 hamburger, or in the case a couple of years ago, was the $50 piece.
Yeah. They're changing.
Well, and it also as a result of these Comanche Zoom sessions, I started looking more closely after Kristen's at our logbooks. And I found that, for example, the heater AD, there are a couple of ADs on our heaters. We're in compliance with one, and we did the inspection for the second one, but we didn't log it. And therefore, at the moment, it would appear as that it's not complied with because it doesn't have a logbook entry, but I know we did the inspection. So a lot to learn from Kristen on logbooks and what you need to have, and very, very valuable session. I wish more people would pay attention to it, and mechanics can learn from her, that's for sure.
Oh, I completely agree. One of the things that I'm going to do is order a separate SD card for my camera, and that's only going to have logbook entries. I'm going to start with the most recent when it comes in. I'm going to photograph everything And not only am I going to make a copy of it and store it in my house, I'm going to get a little thumb drive and give it to my mom, who's 400 miles away. She's not going to have anything to do with it, but the logbooks are so critical that having one copy of them is not good with me. I want to have 2 copies because, oh, it's only, you know, that thumb drive would only be worth $25,000 or $30,000, you know, so what?
Well, and I do have hard copy of ours in the safety deposit box, along with a hard copy of our POH, because it's got all of the flight manual supplements of the special doodads on the airplane. So Kristen sent me today a copy of an example of a logbook. It was 8 pages. She did a logbook review for a purchase pre-buy. And it was just fascinating what not only she learned from the logbook, but she could advise the pilot on. You know, this was done at this time, and you're going to need to do it again here. And oh, by the way, they said they did something about this, but you know, they didn't log it, so I really can't tell. You know, it was a tremendously valuable thing. I'm thinking about asking her to just review our logbooks to figure out where we need to pay more attention. I'd pay for that.
There, so what I've discovered this is my first owner hampered annual. We're not going to call it owner assisted. And what I learned are a couple of things. One is, how many of you are using AD log? Or have heard of it even?
Not
Zach
heard
I've
of
heard
it.
of it. Yeah, I've used it.
Yeah.
Zach
So
uses
AD
that.
log, yes. Yep, and a bunch of the guys out here in the middle use it. It appears to save your A&P a lot of time, but if you've been using the same A&P for a while, it's beneficial because everything's really organized and you have a backup of your logs online. If for any reason you need to switch A&Ps, it's really, really going to help a lot because it creates an organization that's not really required, but that is going through the logs for this annual. One of the things we ran into is that, and this I think Kristen touched on, the 1,000-hour gear AD had been logged with the description with the complied with section that said which section of the 1,000-hour gear AD you're complying with, and the description. And so there's no complied with at all. The description happened to match the 1,000-hour swivel pin AD on the landing gear. Exactly. So that was a little bit of a moment of truth, because next you go look at the gear and it looked like the first 1,000-hour gear AD had already been done quite late. And now you're just going, well, all right, you know, this entry isn't quite right, so let's go into gear. And this is my first 1,000-hour gear AD, and you have to take it all apart and clean everything, and then you start measuring everything with these very like high precision caliper thingies. And all of the things were good and needed many bolts because they were worn beyond tolerance. The gear had been performing well, and it's now performing really well, but it was a bit of a shock. So the thought had been that PD wasn't due for another 400 hours, but probably by the time 400 hours had come, something would have been so worn that maybe something bad would have happened. So it was a good catch and an interesting lesson in logbooks, as Pat said.
Pete, check your chat log.
So when there's a moment here, I'd like to mention something about the GAP program. We've been trying to put that together. I'm waiting to
Perfect.
get some information now. For those that aren't aware of it, the GAP program is Get Acquainted. That is for people in various areas to start building Comanche neighborhoods. Just like it was about in the 80s and 90s, where everybody knew everybody else and worked with it. So we're up to the point where we have three areas, one highly populated, one medium populated, and one like out in West Virginia that's not too populated, so that we can get a test on what's the best way to get the members to meet one another. And hopefully, I was hoping to have it going this weekend, but it looks like it'll have to be next weekend to really start it, to get it going. The purpose is to get more people knowing one another so that we can really communicate and share ideas just like we did in the past. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bill.
Just to sort of support the program that Bill is spearheading, the GAP program, that structure is probably going to underlie some of the insurance initiatives. There's an insurance group buy that we've been working on. It takes a long time to put something like that together. And with the insurance industry in its current state, we've been advised that they like the idea a lot and it might be a little while. But the key is that these neighborhoods that Bill is putting together and the general concept of people knowing everybody and connecting people with each other to help each other out is an answer to one of the largest causes of losses in aviation insurance, which, believe it or not, even larger recently than pilot error, has been acts of God. So what Bill's doing is incredibly important, and I think it may actually end up saving us a lot of money and keeping our aircraft insurable in the long run.
Speaking of getting together, I think I'll share this real quick. I've shown it before, but what I would like to do is remind everybody that it's available. So if I get to share, find that, and here we go. This is the fly-in schedule, and it's convenient now because Dwight's talking tonight. The fly-in that we're actually really going to have is at his base, Resnick Airport in Ellenville, in June 20th. It's actually going to be a fly-in, Wings and Wheels for Warriors. This is on the Northeast Comanche Tribe fly-in page. If you want to register for it, you click on the register right here, and that'll let us know you're coming. It also puts you on the list for any emails about what's going to happen that day. And then we can also have, there's also a list of the upcoming Zoom things, so you can take a look at that too. Now I'll get out of that. I'm done with that.
So while we're talking about fly-ins, I want you to know that we're in the great state of New York. Once great, not currently. We're having our issues, and to the point where we will have the Comanche fly-in on June 20th, but Wings and Wheels had to get postponed because of the nonsense with the COVID virus and the overzealous folks in Albany. So they told us we could not have it. So we can still have a fly-in, and we will make sure we have food and everything, and we'll have a great time. But we're currently trying to do Wings and Wheels for August 29th, and we're just shaking our heads at what's going on in New York and what these folks are just overzealous in their controls and nonsense. There are other things that are open and doing where there are lots of people together closer than our event by far, and they just can't pull it together to say, yeah, we can do this thing. They told us we couldn't do it. So anyway, we will have the fly-in. Everybody come, have fun. We'll have food, and we'll catch up and look at Comanches and talk insurance. That's probably everybody's most excited thing. No, I'm just kidding. We won't talk insurance.
We can, the 29th of August is free as far as our schedule is concerned. The 24th, I think it is the fly-in at Sky Manor, August 24th. If you want, we can do another fly-in with the Wings and Wheels. Plan to be there.
Well, you're certainly all welcome to come, but I just feel terrible that as sure as we were on this thing, to have the local, county, and state come back and say, nope, can't do that. We're just still all extremely puzzled. I scratch my head so much I have no hair left.
I have a solution. Did you guys hear about the 200,000 people that showed up at the NASCAR race and were told there could be no, no
kissing and hugging?
spectators? So they said, we're not spectators, we're protesters. They let them all in.
Well,
All right, well, we're going to have a protest on June 20th. Come on down.
we'll be there.
No,
Okay.
no bombs, no pyrotechnics of any kind, please, though.
Okay. All right. It is now 7:30. So we're on if we're on schedule, that means it's time for Dwight. And what I'm going to do now is for everybody, I'm going to mute everybody. And then I would suggest that all of you go to the speaker view. That way you get to see his smiling face as he talks, and you'll have a better view at seeing the stuff that's just shared on screen. We have a bunch of stuff to share. So Dwight, it's all yours. I'm going to bring up your PowerPoint, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay, well, before you do that, let me just do a quick intro. My background, I've been in the insurance business since 1986 when I got out of college. I have an engineering degree from Cornell. Wasn't planning on getting an insurance business, but no hiring was going on at the time. Anyway, make a long story short, I took over the firm in '94. I bought the Comanche, my 260B, in October of '92. And within a month, my boss came to me and said he wanted to retire and be out of there by January '94. So I was like, oh, I shouldn't have bought an airplane. But anyway, it's worked out real well. I've had 3.5 pop all over the country up to Alaska and back. And I just love Comanches. So I'm also want everybody to know that as much as I love Comanches and small aircraft, I don't do the small aircraft. I know it well. Obviously, I do my own insurance. I do help some folks. But honestly, we'll get into as we pull up this first slide. It's not something, I'm not here trying to sell policies. Believe me, I have enough to do with what I'm doing day to day. It's difficult for me to give you the attention you need, but I do have backup staff, the main office people that I work with that are there for you, that will give you the quotes and help you and get things done and answer questions. So just so I give you a preface, I'm not here trying to sell insurance. So with that, bring up the first slide.
There you go.
Okay, so we'll run through this. So this is really important to have this perspective, okay? So the aviation insurance business is a $1.6 billion industry, okay? Seems like a lot, but it's only a small segment of the $650 billion property and casualty insurance industry. So we're the unwanted stepchild, let's face it. And in that, 1.6 billion is all aviation, okay? And so if you think about it, general aviation, singles and twins like we have, is really, really, really minute. So we don't get the attention that we want, okay? Just want you to have that perspective when you're talking to an agent, when you're thinking of what insurance companies provide. It's tough. We're not forefront on their list of policies to sell. So just keep that in mind. That it's difficult. With that, these insurance companies don't unlike the other areas of property and casualty insurance, the policy forms are not standardized in the aviation industry. They're very similar. Okay, the coverages and so on are there, but how they word their policies can be different. Where you find different clauses in the policy can be different, just so you know. So if we do start looking at a policy later, it may not be the same as yours. Just want you to know that. So with that, I'll roll right into things, and we're down to the fourth bullet. Obviously, I think you all know the primary coverage parts are liability and physical damage. So liability is damages to others if you have an accident and you hurt anybody, and it may or may not include passengers, which we'll get into. But for the most part, most of the policies now are including passengers, but maybe with a sublimit. Okay, physical damage, as we all know, is your hull coverage, for in motion and not in motion. Big question always comes up, well, what if I don't want to bother insuring my hull? You can do that. We are finding that liability only policies aren't that much cheaper, because when they put the coverages together, physical damage and liability together, they have discounts, and it's a better policy all around price-wise. But you have to price it and find out, okay? Ask the questions. We're also, while we're on that subject of physical damage, I'll just jump to quick that a lot of the policies have 0 deductibles. That doesn't mean you should turn every little thing in, but it just means that if something does happen, you won't have to come out of, a larger thing happens. You don't have to come up with stuff out of your pocket. And they like to know what's going on. They want to know what accidents and stuff you're having. And that's one of the reasons why they have a 0 deductible. They want to know what's going on. It's not just because it's a great policy. Okay, so we'll move on down to the pilot warranty and open pilot requirements. This is probably the single biggest area of coverage costs that people don't realize. Okay, so what you are as a pilot and your experience and your annual training or semi-annual training or whatever you do is the most critical part. The second most critical part is the open pilot requirements. And if you have take the more strict requirements that the company will allow, the lower your premiums can be. So that's something we'll talk about as we get into it further. I'll try to pull up the page on mine, and I have pretty high requirements on my open pilot requirements, and it keeps my price down. Here it is. So, my open pilot requirements are 750 total hours and 250 in retract and 25 hours minimum in a Comanche of the same model. So that could be a difference. So,
which page is that, Dwight?
No, we're not going to jump to that quite yet.
Okay.
We're not going to jump to that quite yet.
All right. Go back.
So let's stick to the PowerPoint. We'll finish that up.
Done.
Okay. So just to keep that in mind, when you're talking to your agent, it's important to have as much information about your experience as possible. It's very important to have as much training you can give them as possible. I find that me doing my BFR and IPC every year is keeping my premium down, I think. I had to do that for my other aircraft anyway, but obviously I let them know on my Comanche insurance. Okay, other coverages. Now I'm just going to whip through these for now, and we can get into it more as people have questions. So you have an area where you keep your airplane, either tied down or a hangar. The liability insurance on these policies extends to the area. So if there's a slip and fall or something like that by somebody that's coming to go fly with you, that's your premises that you rent or kind of assume around your plane, whether it's tied down or in a hangar, and you have liability coverage extends there as well. It should on all the policies I deal with anyway. Minor one, increased value for 30 days. If you do avionics work, let's say, or some other improvement to your airplane, and you've got 30 days, but you want to let the insurance company know if you want to change the hull value and what you did, you need to do it right away, but you do have 30 days of coverage for increased value. There are limitations. There might be only 10% of what you have or something like that, but we can get into that if you're really concerned. My suggestion is when you know it's almost done, call your agent and tell them, what you had done and what the value is and that you want to change your hull coverage. You might not want to change your hull coverage. I don't know. Okay. Disassembly removal. If you do have to land somewhere off airport, there is some coverage for that. And each policy can be different. There are limitations. Substitute aircraft. If your aircraft is down because of an accident or some other reason, you can check. You might have coverage for substitute aircraft. What it is it's coverage. It's your coverage for liability and physical damage, but to no more than what you already have. But those coverages will apply to a substitute airplane while you're using a substitute airplane. Spare parts, if you've got parts and so on in your hangar and you lose your hangar, you have some coverage there. Again, smaller stuff, there are limitations, but there is coverage there. God, everything happens, you know, it's good to just call your agent and find out. Search and rescue, there's some coverage for that. Hopefully we never ever use it. Personal injury extension. Not all policies have this. You should definitely make sure you have it on your homeowner's policy, but that's basically for libel, slander, that kind of thing. You cuss out or talk badly about somebody, you're another pilot on the field or something, and they try to sue you. Again, probably never going to be an issue, but it's on some policies and you can ask for it. But you definitely should make sure it's on your homeowner's policy. Just a hint there. Non-owned physical damage goes along with a substitute aircraft. If you're using another airplane, you have some coverage, but not more than what you have on your airplane. Non-owned liability. Again, if you're using another aircraft, but it's covering you, not the other party. So you have to be careful with that. Relocation, we were talking about it earlier. Each policy can be different. We can look at that page if you'd like. It does give you, I think mine is 50% of the cost up to a maximum of $500, I think, for fuel to relocate. The intention is for you to get it somewhere where it's going to be safe, out of the harm's way. I think that most companies are probably going to be pretty lenient about that, but who knows? I have not experienced it. We'll go into one other thing. Portable equipment, if you have other portable equipment like your tug, fire extinguishers, your hangar, whatever, that stuff is also covered on a lot of these policies. When we get down to the next line here, additional insured, generally speaking, these policies will extend coverage to the airport, the hangar owner, if that's somebody you rent from, that type of thing. And a lot of times you will let the company know, your agent know, and they will get you a certificate of insurance, and it'll get printed out every year when your policy renews automatically, or it'll be part of the papers you get automatically from the company. So you have it to give to the people. You have to look through your papers, though. You don't always have to call the agent and say, I need this. You didn't send it. It's in there. Most of these companies just do it automatically. Lien holder's interest. If you owe money on your airplane, it basically says if you have an accident or something happens to the plane, they're going to pay off the lien first and then pay you the difference. And every claim is negotiable. So I'll give you my perspective on all insurance. I try not to use my insurance except for the big stuff. So I would probably, honestly, myself, never use the relocation as an example.